Hello, I'm Louis, and you are joining us today on our Untitled podcast. We still don't have a name, but we will do soon. So today, we're going to have our pilot episode of our news podcast. So you're joined with me, Louis, and my other hosts.
I'm Grace. I'm the features editor of the Kingston Courier.
I'm Kate, and I'm the deputy editor.
Today we're going to be talking about special Halloween spooky stories in Kingston. Our plan for this podcast is for it to just be a weekly thing where we're going to bring up fun, interesting news stories that neither of the other two hosts have heard. So we're just going to riff off the ideas we hear and the funny stories and just see how it goes, really. So I'm happy to get us started. I found a pretty gruesome story. Well, okay, I found two. My favorite one I will save till last, which I think you guys will like. Is kind of a cheat one because it's not really in Kingston, nor is it in the UK, but I had to include it because it's so funny. Well, not funny, it's just wacky. But the first one is in Kingston. So I learned a fun fact that Kingston was the site of hangings in the area.
Oh.
And people being killed for executions. And it happened in the Market Square in Kingston and on Kingston Hill. And apparently this was the site for Southwest London and all of Surrey. So this was in the 18th century. In the 19th century, you had women being burned at the stakes for witchcraft and for murder, things like that. And men were just hanged in Kingston Marketplace. So some of the stories I found were kind of nasty. There was a 19-year-old girl who suffocated her own child to kill it. And she was burned at the stake alive in Kingston, right in the Market Square.
Oh, this is just too much to bear at 10:30 in the morning.
Right?
I'm glad you cleared it up, though. It was in the 18th century and not in
No,
not like a week
thing.
ago, yeah.
No, I don't think they'd allow that. But yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Wow.
I think the other
I didn't know
stories.
that.
Yeah, another one was in 1826, I want to say. There were four guys who went to Teddington Lock House, and they went in with pistols and they stole some gold medallions. And they were only found out about the crime because a police officer saw a child walking down the road with one of these gold medallions and thought, hang on, this doesn't make sense. Anyway, there was an investigation and these four guys were arrested, and then all four were publicly hanged to thousands of people in Kingston Marketplace.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to walk into that marketplace the same. I'm always going to think of that now.
When did they stop doing that?
That I don't know. I'll have to have a look into, but they said they stopped around the early 19th century. So,
and now it's just like food stalls and
yeah,
family.
and like Christmas markets and like the kids playing the little water fountain.
Right? Yeah, exactly, above the souls of the dead people. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty awful, yeah.
I can actually genuinely imagine like one of those posts that people get hung off of as well.
Yeah,
like,
right? Yeah, I saw a photo.
Like right in the middle.
We'll have to put it on our Instagram. But I saw a photo of the actual hanging stool right in the marketplace.
Oh my God.
And then to make it worse, apparently the county jail was actually, you know, that building in the center of the marketplace?
Yeah.
That was the county jail. And they kept people there before hanging.
I just like walk about 10 places that way and you're going to go get executed, so behave.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it was like thousands. It was like an exciting event. Imagine that being a thing today. Like, oh yeah, let's just go to an execution today, family. Yeah, sounds fun. Like, this blows my mind.
Children would genuinely go and watch hangings. Like, it would be like a family outing.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of crazy how much like capital punishment was kind of like viewed as like entertainment. It's actually disgusting.
It is. Yeah.
I'm so happy we have different entertainment now.
Yeah, me too.
Like podcasts.
That's true. Thank God for the internet.
What was your last story?
Oh, I'm going to save that till last. I'll.
Until the very end.
Yeah, because
it's
not quite a Kingston one, so I'll keep it to the end. Yeah.
Spooky season, guys.
So yeah, I think that is. Every time we walk through the marketplace now, we'll just think of that.
I feel like that's more of like an educational kind of historical spooky story, but it's still going to like stick with me every time I go into Kingston now.
Right? Like I grew up here and I never knew that. I've been to the market square.
Yeah, me either.
So many times.
Same. I've been there hundreds of times.
It does kind of sense though.
Yes,
like it's such a historic town.
Yeah.
Like that was bound to be a thing, but I never thought about it.
I can like genuinely picture it like in the middle of that market square.
And all the people dressed up in old-timey outfits just watching people die. But imagine watching, okay, this is gruesome, but imagine watching just a woman being burned at the stake. And that's like just a normal day.
You're like, come on now, it's time to go have dinner at home. Like,
it's insane.
It is kind of mad.
Yeah, genuinely. So yeah, who wants to go next? Who's got a...
Go on, Kate.
Yeah, okay, it's my turn. Mine isn't as gruesome. I don't know if that's good or bad, but mine is about a very spooky street in the UK, in Surrey, so very close, right behind Thorpe Park, called Monk's Walk.
No way.
Yep, which runs between St Mary's Church and Chertsey Abbey, which was founded in 666 AD. And it was all like nice and lovely, very religious times going on there. And then it was sacked by Vikings when the abbot and 90 priests were killed in this.
Oh my God.
90 priests?
Yep. And so after that, some monks moved in, and they were all having a good time as well, until the dissolution, and then they got kicked out as well. So a lot of horrible things happened to the people that lived in this abbey. And the walk was where they would move between the abbey and the church and do all their like little things. And so where it starts to get weird is when Thorpe Park decided to build very close to Monk's Walk.
Wait, that wasn't the weird bit? All those monks being killed? Okay.
No. That's just like a bit of history for you.
Okay, right.
It's just a bit of context.
Yeah. So, do you know Storm Surge?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely, yeah.
That was going to be built very close to Monk's Walk, and that was the closest thing they decided to build.
I've literally been on that as well.
No.
So, they started building on it, and they were going like 15 miles into the ground.
Oh my God.
And all the
15
creepy things
miles.
started happening in Thorpe Park when they started building this. There was like drops in temperature, and people started reporting that they were seeing a headless monk around the construction site.
No.
So they reported it to management. Management took it very seriously. They
Yeah.
brought in paranormal investigators to
No
figure out.
No, they didn't.
They did.
Is that actually a
I never
profession?
heard about
Yeah.
this.
That's a profession.
What year was this? Do you know?
This was 2012.
I never heard about this.
Yeah.
In 2012, I was fully going on like the detonator.
Right,
and,
yeah,
like, the
exactly.
Saw ride, like completely oblivious to this.
Well, you don't want to go on Storm Surge.
Okay.
That's insane.
So, yeah, they started seeing a headless monk walking around. So they brought in these paranormal investigators doing all their usual, like, Ouija boards and, like, dowling rods and those sort of things.
No.
That's... I can't even imagine going into security in Thorpe Park and there's people just using an Ouija board. There's people just there like, this is top security.
Yeah.
And you walk in and you're like, I've seen a ghost. And they're like, let's have a session.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so these paranormal investigators discovered that they were building on top of an ancient burial site.
Oh.
That is insane.
It does sound a bit cliche, I'm not going to
Sounds
lie.
horrible.
It's about, yeah.
It sounds cliche, but
Imagine
it's so
you're digging
cool.
away and you
Yeah.
just find like all this like
But this is what the paranormal investigators were saying, that it is a burial site, and people were like, oh, that's cliche. They're just like, they've got some Ouija readings. But they did actually discover that before stone coffins were excavated from that area in 1865. So it was a burial site. It wasn't just the paranormal investigators had decided that was what they were going to go with. It was actually a burial site. They were right.
Yikes.
God.
So management were like, no, that's not going to do anything for us. They moved Storm Surge, and they haven't built in that area since.
Damn.
God, all these places getting
That's
ruined for me now.
crazy.
Kingston
Yeah.
Centre,
Honestly.
Thorpe Park.
Hey, this is the thing. So a lot of that area is actually pretty spooky, and there are loads of like supposedly haunted places. So where I did my undergrad at Royal Holloway, that was really close by to Thorpe Park and where that was. And the guy who built who built Royal Holloway University and an asylum nearby, connected both of them by tunnels. And
for God's
it was
sake.
always said at the uni that all these tunnels and Founders Building, the building that was the main house of the uni, was all haunted because of these tunnels between the asylum and the uni. And it is really messed up, but Thomas Holloway, who built the university, basically built the other asylum with all this insane wealth he made from selling fake pills around the world. But he basically built the asylum and the tunnel to the uni because he thought that women, because it was the first women's university in the UK, but he thought that women wouldn't be able to deal with the stress of uni. So they could easily take them to the asylum that he built nearby. And again, there were loads of theories and stories of ghosts being like spotted around campus and all of that. So yeah, that area is pretty spooky.
Yeah, just the fact that it's called Monk's Walk as
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
that's just spooky to me.
It is.
But I just like to say, the skeptics, like, they do have their opinions on this, and the funniest one I saw was a headless monk. Someone was like, come on, it's just a shadow. Like, you're not going to
Yeah.
confuse a shadow with a headless monk.
Yeah, and surely a shadow would have a head though, right?
Yeah, and like it's construction workers. They're like there in the day. Why are there these just shadows? I don't believe the skeptics in this one.
Yeah,
The UK is like so much more freaky than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Like it's so much more spooky and like
Yeah.
these things are making me have a whole different perspective of where I live.
Wait, do you know how those monks originally died? How did they? Because they were killed, right?
No, so the monks didn't die. It was the priests.
Oh,
that
the priests, sorry.
died,
Yeah.
But the monks got moved, so I feel like they're just a bit angry with the area.
Damn.
Yeah. They
How
want
did the
everyone
priests
to leave.
die?
The priests,
Yeah.
they were killed by Vikings.
Oh, Vikings.
So you
yeah, of
can't
course.
imagine it's in pretty nice ways, to
Jesus.
be honest.
No. Well, there's nothing really left of the abbey now. It's just
Really?
like 2 walls.
No way.
Really?
Yeah.
Field trip.
Surely
guys?
then it's like no longer classed as an abbey because like abbeys are meant to be like beautiful, like
Yeah, but
gothic kind of buildings.
But weren't loads of the abbeys burnt down in the UK and like destroyed? I can't remember what the history.
Oh, what?
of it
Because of
was.
it? I think it was.
It was.
Well, this might be speculation, but it was because like ghost stories and things and
Oh,
like
was it?
paranormal activity.
I was thinking back to like Henry VIII's time, and they destroyed all the abbeys because it was.
Oh no,
Iconic.
yeah.
Is that the
I think I'm just talking
yeah,
rubbish.
maybe.
I think I'm just trying to make it sound a bit more interesting than it actually is. What was it, like a religion?
Yeah, I think so. And then there are loads of like creepy abandoned abbeys around the country. You know, again along the spooky Halloween theme, have you seen? You know, in Hot Fuzz. Have you seen Hot Fuzz?
Yeah.
There's that scene where they have the cult meeting in the abbey.
Oh yeah.
I happened to just be there about 2 months ago. My friend we went on a walk and then we found this abbey and we're like, wait, hang on, this is cool.
This is
and then
like
we're like,
Hot
hang on, I
Fuzz.
recognize this like weird, creepy place.
Wait, you were at where they were
Yeah,
filming
yeah.
that? Oh my god, I thought you were going to say that you'd walked in on
Oh
like
my
a
god,
cult
like a cult?
meeting.
No,
Oh my
imagine.
god.
I mean, there were like pentagrams on the walls and like Hail Satan and stuff like that, just graffitied on the walls. It was a creepy place.
What?
But,
Oh,
yeah.
on the theme of like cults and like spooky stuff, like
yeah.
I had a friend when I was younger. This was like primary school sort of age, like kind of early secondary school, and she would go to this youth club quite a lot. And she would like be like, "Oh, guys, you need to come with me to this youth club. Like, it's really fun and whatever." And then she like would go like a lot. Like, apparently it was on like all the time. And one day she just like stopped going, and I was like, "Oh, like how come you no longer go to that youth club anymore?" She was like, "Oh, because they started asking me for money," and I was like,
Weird.
"You're not meant to pay to go to youth clubs.
Yeah.
Like they're like a social community thing." And she was like, "Yeah, I don't know. Like we just stopped going." And then like 2 years ago, that kind of came up in conversation again, and she was like, "Yeah, it turns out my parents stopped me from going because when they started to ask for money, they realised that it was a cult.
Oh my god.
It wasn't a youth club. Like
oh my god.
it was a cult."
What? So the youth club was just like a facade.
Yeah,
to
it was
get
kind of like they
people-
called it a youth club, but like when they start asking for money, they'd be like joined. Like
Damn. Where was this?
not like in Surrey, like not far
Oh,
from here.
God.
Like these kind of weird things happen so much more than we
Yeah.
think. Like they're so much more prolific than we think they are.
Grace,
Anyway,
kick us off.
onto my story now. So this one is in Richmond, so West London, not far from here. Yeah, so it's called the Barney's Mystery Case. It's in the late 1800s, around 1879 in West London. And Julia Marty Thomas owned a house in Richmond, which was where she lived alone. You know, women living alone in the 1800s, probably never going to end well, is it?
True.
Get burned for witchcraft.
Probably, in Kingston.
Oh my god.
3 months into the year of 1879, she mysteriously went missing.
Ooh.
Whilst her servant, or like maid, Kate Webster, came into a mysterious deal of wealth. You see where this is going. So how did this happen? One Sunday evening, Thomas's landlady, Mother Jane Ives, who lived in the other half of the house that she lived in, heard a sound like the fall of a heavy chair. Nothing
Okay.
else was done about it. It was just something that she noted. The next 2 Sundays, Mrs. Thomas, a Christian, failed to show up to church, whilst her maid Webster seemed to have a new lease on life, and she met a former neighbour of hers from when she had lived in Hammersmith in a pub, in like a local pub in Richmond. And later on that evening, he helped her carry a heavy box to a nearby bridge, like in Richmond, like next to the Thames, and he helped her like throw this really heavy box into the Thames.
Did he question it?
He didn't really. She just said like, oh, it's just like, because people would dump all sorts of rubbish in the Thames in those days. So
that's true.
I think she must have just said, like, she must have had a good rationale for it. So he helped her throw the box into the Thames. And then about a couple of days later, a coal porter discovered the box later near the Barnes Railway Bridge, which is like a few miles downstream of where they threw it into the Thames. And he discovered in the contents of the box a woman's torso, legs, and -1 foot and no head.
What?
Yeah. And this actually happened. Like, this is a true story in Richmond.
Oh my God. When was this again?
1800s. Don't worry, it wasn't any time recently.
That's messed up.
Where was the head?
And where's the foot as well? A head is like quite a common thing, surely.
Well, police couldn't identify the body without a head, and an inquest failed to establish the cause of death. A woman's foot shortly turned up in Twickenham.
What?
It was little help though, because they concluded that, like, you know, the foot belonged to the body, but they still wouldn't have the head, so they still didn't know who it was.
What turned up? Was it just walking down the street, just this one foot, or did it just did it wash up on the...
You know when people leave like gloves they find on the floor, like a side, like someone's foot's just like left on the side.
Oh my God. Well, surely it would have been like properly decayed then, just like pretty much bones. Like,
I don't know.
How do they know it's a woman's foot as well?
Maybe it was painted.
And the toenails painted.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The unidentified remains were eventually buried in the local cemetery, and the press began buzzing about the Barnes mystery. And once Webster had heard this, she obviously put 2 and 2 together and thought, that's my box. Like, I need to get going. Like, so in a fit of panic, she fled London, causing the police to search her home in Richmond. And they discovered in the home a very grisly scene. So there was blood stains everywhere, some showing signs of like her attempting to clean it up, charred bones in the kitchen grate, and a fatty substance behind the laundry boiler.
Charred bones? Was she like eating it?
No, she was like grating it.
Oh, whoa, that's weird. What?
I'll explain like
wait,
that happened.
What?
This is like
children's bones.
This is like very relevant to like the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary that just came out.
This is insane. Wait, what was?
We've got a Jeffrey Dahmer in Richmond.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But yeah, so they found that. Webster was obviously accused, pulled back to Richmond, and charged with the murder and sentenced to execution. The night before her execution, she finally confessed to the priest that she alone committed the murder of Mrs. Thomas. So, according to her, she and Thomas had argued when Thomas had returned home from church one evening, and they got into an argument which ripped into a very aggressive quarrel, and Webster threw Thomas from the top of the stairs to the ground floor, and she then lost control and grabbed her victim by the throat in an attempt to silence any screams that could alert her neighbours.
Jesus Christ.
And after choking her, she was determined to do away with the body by chopping up the limbs and boiling them in the laundry tub.
Oh.
And then grated down the bones.
What?
Put it all in the bits that she couldn't get rid of, she put in the box and hauled into the Thames. And legend says that Webster attempted to sell the fat drippings from Thomas to the proprietress of a local pub, and even fed them to 2 local boys, but neither rumour has been sustained. Webster was eventually executed in July of 1879, with the gruesome death of Thomas lingering in and haunting the borough of Richmond for the rest of time.
That is spooky as hell. What?
How horrendous is that?
Wait.
The fact that happened, like, literally 5 miles from here, like,
That's
not even that.
Insane. That's insane.
I can't believe that was so close to us.
I feel like such a freak because my story is so weird and your guys
So
are just so like...
gruesome.
I mean, you started with hangings and burnings,
Yeah.
but that's just like gone now.
Yeah. I love that. We've got a new benchmark now. That's insane.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. A lot of like stuff has happened around here.
Yeah. Wait, what was that about? Boiling the body.
So she boiled it to get rid of the body.
Yeah, she like put it in the laundry tub or something. I don't know what it is.
Was she like tumble drying it?
No, she like put it in the laundry so like the heat would like reduce it down, I think.
Okay.
I'm guessing so. I don't really know.
Right.
But and then like grated down the bones apparently and like put it all in this box.
And then you said the
and then
fat
it was like
drippings.
it's like me being like, Libby mate, do you want to come to the pub and like can you just quickly help me like get rid of this box and then we'll go and have a pint? Like
I mean, to be fair, if their friend says that to them, who's going to be like, oh, they definitely wanted me to help them dispose of a dead body?
I don't
like,
know.
But
yeah,
wouldn't
exactly.
there be
You
a
wouldn't assume
smell?
so. Oh, that's
if
a good
you've got
point.
a dead
Yeah.
body that you're carrying.
That's a very good.
But the thing is, it's
yeah.
like the Thames in like what the 1800s.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna smell
It'll smell
I
bad.
don't think. I think it's not as obviously like
Yeah.
though in those days. Sorry, it's not as obvious. I don't think.
Yeah, but I mean, surely a dead body you'd smell, no? And also, what's the conversation they're having? Is they're walking down to the river with this box, like, oh, so what have you got in here? What are you just, suspiciously chucking away?
I think they were like potentially. There's been rumors that potentially they were like lovers or whatever, or they were like.
Okay.
So I think he just like when people say like, oh, she's my best friend, I'd help her hide the body or whatever. I think that was genuinely true in this case. I think that actually happened.
That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So the guy that helped her, did he just flat out deny that he knew?
No, because so I didn't really research that far into it, but I'm assuming because he didn't know like what was in the box and he was like unwittingly like inserted into the disposal of the body. I don't think it really matters. And plus, like, we're talking about a legal system and like a security system from like hundreds of years ago now.
True.
So I don't think they're gonna be like, you're aiding and abetting murder. You have to be.
I'm
like,
just suspicious of this guy. I feel like he helped out a bit here. That's a
I
lot
don't think
for
he
her
did.
to
I
do.
think this was all the maid. I think she just like.
She wanted the wealth, basically.
She was one of what? Sorry.
She wanted the wealth.
Oh yeah, she wanted the wealth.
Yeah.
But I think apparently she had previous convictions. And
Really?
She'd been to prison in Wandsworth before. Oh no, not Wandsworth. Maybe like Hammersmith or something. She'd been to prison before, and so I think when they got into that altercation and she pushed her down the stairs, obviously like she was like screaming in pain, and so I think she killed her to like because she was worried that the neighbours would hear, and then she'd go back to prison. So in a way to stop herself from going back to prison, she ended up getting executed in prison.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is mental. So the noise of the chair that was reported.
That was her falling down the
that was-
stairs, yeah.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. That's
Well, it
messed
wasn't
up.
falling down the stairs. Apparently, she
being
just got
thrown
chucked and like
downstairs.
hit down the stairs, yeah.
Yikes.
That's just a bad way to go.
It is a bad way
That's
to
a bad
go.
way to go.
And then your body gets found in a box in the Thames and your foot's in Twickenham and your head's nowhere to be found. Like,
What? Yeah. What did she do with the head?
I don't know.
True.
No one knows.
Wonder where the head is.
Like
Crazy.
you can't
Oh,
get rid of that.
actually, there was a last bit to it. And it was like,
Can you hear the sirens? I think they're actually
they're really
they're,
adding to
they're
this.
trying to find the head.
there was like a last bit to it of like a modern day. They kind of like discovered something to do with it.
Right.
I
I want to look into this more. This is crazy. I want to go and see the house as well.
Yeah, so Thomas's story has a strange modern twist. In 2009, English broadcaster and naturalist Sir David Attenborough bought the vacant pub next door to his house, and the building was like the former home of like where like Webster used to go and have a pint and whatever. And as contractors were excavating the site to build an extension on Attenborough's property, they saw a dark circular object, which turned out to be the head of the woman who owned the house. So David Attenborough, his like home and his place, when they were like sorting it out and like building new places, found the head of this woman.
Wait, so we do know where the head is then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do. Sorry, I
So-
forgot.
Did you miss that?
So, wait, you missed the best thing. David Attenborough solved the case. This is incredible. Another thing to add to his incredible CV.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
He
Yeah,
solved a
no,
150-year-old murder. This is incredible.
yeah, no, they found the head,
That's insane.
and it belonged to Julia Martha Thomas.
How did they know that though?
I think they just.
DNA
I think
from
they
the foot?
found.
I
They
don't know.
found it fracture marks consistent with the fall down the stairs and low collagen levels consistent with it being boiled.
Wait, so what?
So they found like the skull because obviously it's been hundreds of years.
Yeah, but how did the skull get here? Was it just used as like a decoration piece? Or
No,
like...
no, like it was in the ground.
Oh, okay.
Like so they were building like his house and whatever, and they found it in the ground.
Damn.
Imagine being like, he's such a sweetheart, David Attenborough.
He must have
Like,
been so shocked. Oh,
he
poor
must have been
David.
golly, like.
Oh goodness. I think I've just solved a murder.
I think it was like during his filming of like one of the Planet series or something.
Yeah.
And
What? So do you think someone had to phone David Attenborough and be like, "Excuse me, sir, we've just found something in your garden"?
you would have
Oh
to
my
take
God.
a long hiatus from planning
You'd have to
from
take-
filming Planet Earth. if
Like
you
a lot
found
of
that.
therapy as well after
Yeah.
that. Poor David. Wow.
Yeah, they found the head.
What an insane story.
I don't think it would phase him. He's seen so much in his life. Just be like, yeah, it's
it's
just
kind of
another
true
thing.
actually. Yeah.
He'd be like, the world's gonna end soon, guys. Like, don't be ridiculous.
everything's natural.
Yeah.
yeah. He would kind of just go along with it. I think, yeah.
The circle of life.
Circle of life, eh? I've thought of another story that kind of
Oh
relates.
God. I
which
can't
is-
take anymore.
Also in Richmond, in Richmond Borough, but actually in Twickenham.
Yeah.
And this wasn't even that long ago. I think this was still when I was at school. There was a guy who was known as a Twickenham axe murderer who, during the day, I really need to please take this with a grain of salt because I can't remember the full details. I just know it happened. There was a guy in Twickenham who would go around with an axe during the day and he just killed people on the street. And yeah, he's in prison and he was arrested. But that was like a big horror,
What?
scary thing that
I've
happened
never
when I
heard
was at
about that.
school.
What,
yeah.
like in the 2010s?
Yeah.
I have heard of it, but I think it's from you.
Yeah, it might be for me. Yeah, it's like a little Twickenham claim to fame. Like it was literally right next to my school. So yeah, it's crazy. Pretty spooky.
Well, that is crazy.
Yeah.
But this is what Halloween's all about, though. It's all about these like
Exactly.
potential horror stories and rumors and like.
Yeah, the whole thing with the missing head, though, it just reminds me of, I don't know if you
Back
all,
to that.
Go
you've
back
heard,
to
there's
it.
this painting, there's a famous painting, and it's of a woman crying over a tree.
Well, that is crazy.
And it basically,
but
the
this is
story
what.
behind it is that she killed her husband and she beheaded him, and with her head, she didn't know what to do with it, so she buried it with a tree and she used to water it with her tears. Does anyone know that painting?
That's messed up.
That's a famous painting.
Damn.
Can't say I
don't
can't say I've
know.
heard of that.
Who
to be
painted it?
honest.
Do you know?
No, I don't know.
Damn.
If anyone knows, please.
If anyone
let us
knows,
know.
yeah. And if we
Yeah.
find it, we'll put it on our socials.
Yeah.
But
That's
that
my
is
art
insane.
background coming into this.
Damn, that's crazy. Was that in Kingston as well? I bet it was.
Maybe it was based on that woman.
Oh yeah, true.
She gets everywhere.
God, that's crazy.
I wonder what's going to happen this Halloween, though. There's always
Well,
something.
We'll have to report back next year.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
Well, some great stories.
Or at the end of
guys.
next week, if we figure out there are any other stories that have happened in the next week, we might, shoehorn that in at the end. But-
Not that we're hoping that anything.
Oh
bad
no,
happens,
God
you know,
no.
but-
Yeah. Stay safe, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for joining us for our first episode. We will definitely be back next week, and yeah, take care. Thank you, guys. See you soon.
you.
Thanks. Bye.